Okay, so I'm back to working on the racing tractor here. I know it has been a long time since I worked on it. Had some stuff going on, had to take care of some stuff. And issues that I've been thinking about with how to mount the clutch and how much money it's going to cost me for the clutches. Basically, I'm going to be running a different clutch setup, which I'll show you guys once I get it. But the clutches alone, and the jack shaft and everything is going to be almost $700. So yeah, has been kind of slowing me down a bit. I don't want to spend any more money than I need to on this. Pretty much right now I'm just spending YouTube money that I make off YouTube on it. I don't really want to go out of pocket on this build, but so what I'm doing today is I'm going to be mounting the motor more permanent. Right now it's just lightly sitting in place there. So I have to get this motor mount down on this side just a tiny bit. And then after I gotta mount my 8 bolts, bolt it down, put some nuts on top, drill and tap the bottom of the motor, yada yada yada. Probably end up doing a cold start on it, first start, but I don't want to do that till it's bolted down. Then I have to decide for my belt drive, because the clutches are not going to be mounted on the motor here. The clutches are actually going to be underneath here in the middle, so that's kind of a unique kind of setup. And that way I can play around with my clutch engagement speed by changing the pulley on the engine. Anyway, as you can see, the back's cut there. The reason why that's cut is one of the frame rails on this side was on a bit of an angle, so I cut the welds on this side so I wouldn't turn this one, and then I put a pry bar in there, jacked this side up just to straighten it. So now it's at least straight on the back. And other than that, everything else is nice and straight. The dash is just loosely set in place right now. Just like that, just for mocking up purposes. Anyway, yeah, I guess I'll get to work on making the motor fit a bit tighter. Okay, so anyway, just want to show you how I'm getting my levelness for my motor mount, because this side here is too high. These two are the exact distance of these two washers too high. Anyway, here's how I'm going to level it. I just got a T-square type thing here, and a 2x4 which runs across the 2 top pillars, which I'm going to hope is pretty well straight. Straightest thing I got to work with. How's that? So you can see right here it's just barely touching. As I slide it, you can see the gap increases right up to where those motor mounts go right there, which is the exact height of 2 washers. Right there, you can see underneath. So if I put the washers there, pretty much the exact height. It's just touching there now. So you can see, as I move it over, where it starts to drag. So yes, now there's a few different ways to fix this. The easiest way would be to put washers on that side, but no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take my dead blow hammer and I'm going to make this, and I'm going to actually bring this whole motor mount down. The reason why this side is lower, because when I was hammering this to make clearance for my cover, there's a very good chance that it pushed this down to where it's touching the frame, and I actually tack welded it. This side here you can see is almost the same, but these plates that I welded across, there's some spots where they're not fully touching, but when I bolt it down, it'll pull them tight. So what I'm going to do is just take a dead blow hammer and I'm going to try to knock this down a little bit. If that doesn't work, I'm going to give it a shot with that and then the bigger hammer. So give that a try first, see if I can get it nice and flat. Then after that, I'll start bolting in the motor. If I go across like this, it's not really going to be the most accurate because this is a little bit higher. On this end here, I just got these lips to work with, so I would go right up to that cut. Just cut in the frame right there with the 2x4. And it will be on a little bit of an angle, but it should be still the same going side to side. I don't know, I should be able to get it pretty much flush. Okay, so the dead blow hammer did absolutely nothing. Ended up switching it at little mini sludge, and hitting it here didn't really move much. I ended up having to pound it on the seam here, which is actually what I did on this side, as you can see there. And now everything's perfectly straight. I mean, perfect. I couldn't ask for it any better. I got the board just a second here. that should be where it was before, and I'm just sliding this side to side. If I can't really hold the board still on there, but anyway, I was just sliding this side to side, and it's pretty much perfect. I'll show you on this side here, if you guys care to see. Just be a second here. Just a tiny bit. Anyway, see right there, if I hold the board perfectly still, it follows that perfect. So it's perfectly straight there. Couldn't ask for it to be any better. There's still a little bit of lip here where I should re-weld that. Just pinch this with a pair of vice grips, re-tack weld the corner. But really there's no point, because when the motor mounts bolted on there, it's going to hold it perfectly still. Go like that for now until I mount the motor. So again, the extra 3 plates on here is just to kind of reinforce it a little bit. I am going to weld in corner to corner right here, just to reinforce the front end, even though it's never going anywhere. I got angle iron chunks that I'm going to weld in between here, which actually I got them already cut up right here. So I think this is probably all I need. So, nope, this one's too short. I'm going to weld one up in there just to kind of hold the motor mount a little bit better. This one's too short because I want to be able to connect it from the 2 pieces. That one will actually work out pretty good in there. I'm actually going to weld it from underneath, right inside there, so it's kind of not visible. Have to play with that off camera. Kind of trim the corner off, whatever. Oh, there we go. Got my plate welded in across the front there. I got my corner piece welded in, and I got it sprayed down with some rocker guard. The reason why I'm spraying that now is because I'm not going to be able to paint it once the motor's in. And yeah, I'm most likely going to have to remove the motor again after I mount it, but you know, to work on the bottom, to do all my jack shaft and everything like that. But just decided I'll give it a quick spray now. Anyway, freaking hot in here. I just had the door open because I was welding, and yeah, even with that little portable air conditioner, it still gets hot once you open the door pretty quick. So anyway, get back to you guys in a little bit. And got myself another horde bunny. This one here is even smaller than the other. This one here likes to run like hell. So, and for some reason he's hiding in that wood right there. A little tiny one, about half the size of the last one we had. And he runs like hell. Gone. Okay, so now I'm looking at the bottom side of her. Anyway, I ordered, well, don't have it on order, but a little rack and pinion unit. I just deciding kind of where I'm going to be mounting that, because here's where my engine bolts are going to be, which of course are not going to stick out very far, but I'd like to be able to remove the motor if I ever had to without removing an entire rack and pinion. If I mount the rack and pinion on the front here, it's going to be a little bit exposed. If I mount it back over here, I can use these brackets to mount the rack and pinion, and I can use these to reinforce up the motor mounts. Because I don't know, this motor mount, just the way it is, even though I welded that plate in from the front there, you can't really see it from under here, I really don't know if I want to trust it, so I'm probably going to tack these while I have it flipped upside down, just to make sure it's not going to move, and I'm going to fill this in with some weld here, even though I don't have to do any of that, but I got a couple of these brackets that I cut up, thinking I'll weld one up in there, and one up in here, just to kind of reinforce it a little bit. Originally I was going to put these brackets like this, angle iron from here all the way to there, like a big strip of it to reinforce it, but I'm looking, the motor mount factory is just bolted on here. There's 3 more bolts on the bottom, so if I go like that from the bottom side here, it should be more than enough. And of course I can't put it on straight because the motor mount is on a bit of an angle, as you can see. So yeah, I think I'm going to tack those right there, give me something a little bit more sturdy to mount on. As for the rack and pinion, my front end, my tie rod ends are going to be mounted on the bottom side. The rack and pinion probably will end up going right at the front here. I don't really want to put that on an angle like that, probably just be like that, and the rack and pinion will bolt in between. And yeah, I'll have to make a little bit of an angled tie rod ends, but that's not too big of a deal. Okay, so seeing I have a few people asking me why I don't show much more welding and fabrication in my videos, especially one guy that actually just created a new YouTube channel, because the only one he had before was his work one. He said that he loves my videos, but he'd like to actually see more fabrication, more welding, stuff like that. And he actually dropped off the sign he made for me, which is pretty sweet. Not too sure what it's made out of, but it's pretty thick. It's actually done in 3 different layers. So yeah, he didn't really have a YouTube channel, so we just created him a new one. We also made it link off a website. It's CanadianBadger.com, which is going to be linking to his website, which is going to link directly to his YouTube channel. YouTube, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I'm going to do a few videos for him because he wants to see more fabrication, more welding and stuff. So I just find in this case there's so much. And this, but whatever. And this welder, it's such a horrible welder. It's old. I could probably get away with opening it, cleaning it. But the thing is, the duty cycle recently been horrible. I'm lucky to get 2 minutes of welding before it overheats. The wire feed is all messed up. It's not on max. Right now it's on the slowest setting I could get it. It's a 120 amp MIG from what I could see. I did a little bit of research online. But anyway, I'm just going to weld that, and I guess I'll try to throw you on my tripod and get a shot of it. Okay, so I got my camera far enough back zoomed in that I'm hoping I'm not going to do any damage to the camera. That's one reason why I don't really like doing this. Right now the welder's on max setting, and yeah, I'm looking at my screen. Should turn out pretty good. And again, I'm not trying to make a perfect bead. I'm actually kind of rushing at this project right now, so let's see how it looks. And of course, I'm wearing my great gloves right here, so don't worry about me. And that's about all my hands can take for heat. They're already getting a little warm there, and I don't need sunburn on my hands, so I take a wire brush and then I'll show you guys that. Of course, if I would have cleaned up the metal a little bit more before that, it would have looked a lot better, but again, just rushing. But that's about the best, forgot zoomed in. Right there is about the best weld that I'm going to get from this welder right there. So, try to get all the light there. So anyway, wire speed is on low setting. So, but yeah, that's never going to let go. I know it's good. As for the top there, it's going to look like shit because it's not ground down to paint. And of course, my hands started getting hot going around the corner, and I'm using a dark visor, so anyway, and I will reheat all that and go around it again just to double check. I always just try to go quick to burn the paint off the first time. And that's exactly how much welding I got to do before the welder overheated. So yeah, didn't really look the best up there, but whatever. It's not going to go anywhere. Might touch up that corner right there. I know it's dark, but anyway, I guarantee that piece cannot come off there. There's lots and lots of weld on there. Again, I am welding with the wire speed down, because when I turn up the wire speed, it tends to blow the breaker a little bit more. Even though we have a 20 amp breaker, the welder's just, you know, worn out, let's say. So now I'm going to tack this corner here, tack it right there. I'm kind of tempted to put a bracket between here, but I did at the top side over there. I'm not sure if that's showing up there, so I don't think I need to. Again, the reason why I'm doing this is I don't want that motor flexing, because it's going to be so tight in there that if it even flexes a little bit, I might not be able to get my hand in to unbolt or change the oil filter, or it's just going to be a tight fit. I don't want it moving, let's say. So also, this looks like shit up here. That's where I originally cut off this A-arm when I decided to move it, so I might just kind of, that's where I had to weld it from the top side. So, oh my god, that looks like shit. So I might try to tack weld that in a little bit. I have no idea. It's welded super good from the top side, so anyway, there's a little close-up on my front end. Those welds look like shit right there. That one I took my time on a little bit better, did a triple pass on it to fill it in nicely. This side, not so nice. And also, none of these here I took the wire brush to yet. Well, anyway, that probably looks a lot better now. So this one here, even with the wire brush, yeah, it'll take a while with the wire brush on that one. Probably still won't look the best. It's not going to look the prettiest, but I'm sure it's going to be solid. That's what I'm going for. Well, there goes another thing of wire. Either that or the wire broke. So that's the third thing of wire already. So, but that's because, you know, I like welding with extra wire. If I can even open this with one hand. Yep, that's the end of that wire. So thank God the wire's cheap. I found a source for 10 bucks a spool for 2-pounders. So 2-pound here, $19.95 for 2 of them. So, and that's 35, number 35. So, and that's 2 pounds. This is 4 pounds in total. So I don't mind using extra welding wire to fill in gaps and stuff. If I need to fill in a gap, I'll use welding wire instead of cutting a chunk. It all depends on how big the gap is, of course. So sometimes that's not as strong. So anyway, but I got done what I had to do for today, so I might just leave it. So right after I stopped using the camera, I just touched up those 2 spots. I was going to weld them in completely, but should be good enough. Well, also, I picked up some more 2x1 rectangle tubing there, another 8-foot. I'm kind of thinking that I might put a chunk in between here, but I'm also thinking I might put it right here to the edge of this. So, but bad thing is, when I run my jack shaft, because I'm going to be running a dual belt. I was thinking timing pulley, but oh man, trying to buy a timing pulley, I'm not having very good luck finding a cheap one. Probably easier if I flip the tractor down, put the motor in to explain this. But when I run I'm going to have the first jack shaft probably about right here, which is going to have the primary clutch, which is going to hang down a little bit, but I'm going to make a nice skid plate for it. Or I might put the block bearing so it comes up like this, so then the clutch will be right here, but it'll still hang down about that much. And then I'm going to have the secondary here going to the back. But the whole point is, from the primary to the motor, there's going to be a double belt setup. I don't know yet, but I'm pretty sure I'll have to cut out all of this stuff, everything but this main frame here, mount it in place, and then this bracket here I'll probably have to re-weld on, moved over a tiny bit. I'm not too sure yet if that even makes any sense. But oh man, there's so many ways I could really do it. I could actually put the primary or secondary clutch here, primary right on the motor, but then I'm running a huge chain. The reason why I'm kind of thinking of mounting it in the center here is if I go directly off the motor and then from a small sprocket to the back, this thing's going to do 75 miles per hour. I don't need this tractor to do 75 hiccups. I don't need this tractor to do 75 miles per hour. I actually want it to do more like 40 miles per hour and have some pretty kick-ass takeoff. I want to be able to spin those tires, you know what I mean? So if I do the jack shaft setup, I can actually slow it down to, I'm guessing, when the motor's redlining, I'd probably be able to do about 50 miles per hour. So, which is kind of what I'm going for. Maybe I'll knock it down a little bit, try to get 40 miles per hour. I got all the calculations, everything worked out already. And having the clutches in the center, I could kind of play on the timing where the clutch engages. So I can have the clutch engaging at 2,000 RPM if I want, instead of the normal 1,000. So I could kind of play around with that without changing the springs on the clutch, just by changing the pulley size on the engine. So anyway, I know I'm just blabbing, or you know what I mean, just blabbing. I don't know, it's late. I still got to decide what I'm going to do with clutches, because the ones I got are just the Model 40, and they're not rated for more than 18 horsepower. Factory motor is 18 horsepower, but it'll probably be pushing 25, maybe around 25 horsepower when I'm done, because I'm going to be doing custom carb intake and custom exhaust and flywheel timing key and a few other things on it. But I might run it stock just temporary, because I'm already into this thing for a stupid amount of money, and the clutches are another $600-700 bucks by the time I buy the bearings and everything for it. So that's kind of why it's, you know, taking a while. But get back to you guys, I guess, in a little bit and decide what else I'm going to do to it tonight. Well, anyway, that's why I'm going to leave it for tonight. I have a buddy coming over, so I'm going to put it away so we have room in the garage. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention one more thing, is I'm going off no blueprints, no drawings, nothing. So it's all just pretty much being pulled out of my ass as I go along. I'm starting to think for the two clutches that are going to be in the center, I'm going to actually build the clutches on a drop-in assembly. So if I ever have to do a repair, I can unbolt the entire square, like, center subframe. Basically, I'm going to take that channel right there. I'm going to lay down two pieces inside here, put some cross braces, and make it so the whole square rectangle subframe could be removed out of the center, and that's what my clutches will be mounted on. So, because, you know, if I ever have to change a belt, of course the whole system would have to come apart. So, so I'm thinking, instead of welding the bearings directly to this frame, I'll weld them to a separate subframe that could be pulled in and out. And I'll hold it in by just having 4, maybe 6 or 8 big bolts right through the frame of this one. So, or I could always weld it in place. But then again, if I have to change the belt, which it all depends how much I'm going to drive this. You know, if I hit one rock and stuck one rock into that belt, it could destroy it. I'll be wishing I made it a removable subframe. So, anyway, yeah, I guess don't know if I'll get any more updates now for the next few days. So sweet. Anyway, one more thing I thought I'd mention. I picked up this about 1.5 years ago in plans to use it on something. So I'll be using this on the tractor too. So Super Winch LT2000. It's just a cheapie, but hey, that's all it needs. That's all I need for a tractor. So sweet.